Football star with Shaq's power, from reject to unstoppable legend. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 21. The 216 bomber from the Dragon Kingdom. Luo Ye. Beautiful. Beautiful header. 2-0. Leverkusen leads 2-0 at home. Sky Sports commentator Schultz put his head in his hands with an incredible look on his face. What else can I say? What else can I say? Such impact. He is simply a monster on the court. 2 rounds of league. 3 goals. At the beginning of this season, Luo Ye has created his own whirlwind in the Bundesliga. Will any team dare to ignore this big center from the Dragon Kingdom? In the commentary box, other commentators also used various languages to marvel at Luo Ye's crazy performance. Luo Ye. Luo Ye. Ah. Goals in consecutive games. He created history. Created the history of Dragon Kingdom players. It's crazy. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. It's like it's a dream. Duan Xian, the commentator of Longhua National TV Sports Channel, was also shouting, with incredible shock and anticipation. It's not just him. All Dragon Kingdom fans feel as if they are in a dream. Score consecutive goals. 3 goals scored in 2 games. This is the Bundesliga, not the Village Super League. Is this something a Dragon Country player can do? It's like Gagarin has just flown into space, and his back tells you that the human fleet has sailed to Alpha Centauri and destroyed the home of the Trisolarans. Do you believe it? You can't believe it. This is so sci-fi. The current Dragon Country fans feel this way. In the past 2 weeks, everyone was still immersed in the surprise that the Dragon Kingdom finally had a retained player who established a foothold in the Bundesliga. Now, this overseas player shocked the world by scoring 4 goals in 2 games. In this way, what the Dragon Kingdom fans will receive is not a surprise, but a shock. Am I not dreaming? Wife, wake up, come and see God. Damn it. Awesome. This goal was scored easily. It's cool. It's so cool. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. The long-lost football passion of the Dragon Kingdom fans was completely ignited. Great job. Kiesling rushed forward, with a look of disbelief and excitement on his face. Behind him, other Dragon Nation players were also cheering. The team's goalkeeper Benalio jumped up on the goal line and punched the sky with his fists. This goal can be said to have completely helped Leverkusen stabilize the situation. At home, they took a 2-goal lead. It can basically be declared that Leverkusen won this game. Fans at the Bayer Arena were also very excited. They waved their scarves and flags. Cheers loudly for Luo Ye. The airwaves from the huge cheers blew Luo Ye's hair. Excitedly, Luo Ye rushed to the sidelines, opened his arms, and jumped into the air, like a 216 bomber taking off. Here comes a swoop and glide to celebrate. Here it comes. The 216 bomber from the Dragon Kingdom has taken off. Dive. Drop bombs. Schultz shouted. He really understands. Hanks on the sidelines held his head in his hands with an incredible look on his face. To be honest, when he first decided to rent Luo Ye, the idea is to enrich the team's forward reserves and at the same time be able to play as a high center striker at critical moments. But what happened next was like a landslide. Substitute? Directly launched. Forget about starting. 2 games, 3 goals. What else can you say? Hanks knew that he had to incorporate more offensive tactics around Luo Ye in training. This kid. In the 2 games, it seems that the core offensive position has been seized. Right now. Hanks suddenly remembered something. I won't change Luo for now. It turns out that before this, Leverkusen had already planned to start making substitutions. The team's number 9 forward, Helmers, who had just returned from injury, was already warming up on the sidelines. It would be a bit impolite to let others warm up again. Helmers was the team's main center last season, you can tell by the number on his back. Generally, if he is not the main player, he will not be given the number 9. However, the native forward of the Hans country has a tendency to be glassy and gets injured at every turn. It takes 2 hours to charge and 2 minutes to use. Injury started in the second half of last season. However, the scoring efficiency is quite high. He played 22 times last season and scored 14 goals. So after he recovered from injury, Hank certainly couldn't turn a blind eye. Originally, he planned to ask Helmers to replace Luo Ye and let him play to get a feel for it. Although after Helmers paid Having three forwards who can compete for a starting spot troubles Hanks a little, but it's also a happy trouble. And Luo Ye's goal made Hanks realize. Luo Ye, maybe his potential and strength are not just what he sees now. In addition, the team now relies a little on high-altitude balls, no need for patient organization, no need for left and right maneuvers. As long as the ball is passed into the penalty area, it can create a huge threat. Who can not rely on it? So, Hanks changed his mind. He asked Helmers to replace Kiesling. After Helmers came on the scene, Leverkusen no longer played with two high forwards. Helmers is relatively mobile, often pulls wide, and has certain winger attributes. In this way, it can give Luo Ye greater support. The 83rd minute of the game. Helmers pulled to the wing to receive the ball and completed a very beautiful pass. Hermos made a pass. Crossed the ball. The cross ball near the baseline hit the front defender and was refracted. Luo Ye originally planned to jump to head the ball, but he reacted quickly after seeing this. He immediately took a step, squeezed in front of Dante, stopped the ball with his chest, and stopped the ball at his feet. Then he picked up his right foot and kicked it directly. Shoot. Although Luo Ye's ability to use his feet is not as good as his head. However, Gaugia's shooting skill template brought a shooting skill score of 79. Coupled with his strength, the goalkeeper will definitely not be able to react to this powerful volley. The football flew into the goal again. Luo Ye scored twice. In the commentary box, the commentators held their heads in their hands. Also holding their heads in their hands were the fans in the stands. Everyone looked at the stadium in disbelief. Dante, who had just been squeezed away, looked helplessly at the goal. Facing the other party's unreasonable jostling. He really doesn't have a good idea. 3-0. Leverkusen seal the victory. Episode 22, top of the scorer list, scoring twice in a row. Mönchengladbach really wanted to launch a counterattack at the last moment of the game. But the time left for them was too short. There are 4 minutes of injury time. In the end, Borussia failed to score. As the referee blew the whistle at the end of the game, Leverkusen defeated Borussia Mönchengladbach 3-0 at home. They won 2 consecutive games with a score of 3-0, and the 2 opponents they defeated were not weaklings. They are all capable of competing for the top 4 spots in the standings. Such a result. The fans of Leverkusen were so happy that even after the game was over, not many fans left the stadium and they continued to sing in the stands. Although it is still far away from talking about league championships, this at least shows that the team has a hot start, which makes Leverkusen fans full of expectations for this season. The moment the whistle blows at the end of the game, the camera lens locked on Luo Ye. Luo Ye. He was the biggest contributor to Leverkusen's victory in this game. All 3 goals were related to him, and he directly scored 2 goals. With these 2 goals, Luo Ye has scored 4 goals in the Bundesliga this season, ranking first in the Bundesliga scorer list. Schultz was talking. Dragon Kingdom fans have already noticed this. Did you see that, the top scorer? Punch in and take a souvenir. Check in and take a souvenir. Okay, I now announce that the 2010-2011 Bundesliga season is officially over. Leverkusen defeated Schalke 0-4 to win the championship with a goal difference advantage. Chinese player Luo Ye will win the Golden Boot. The Dragon Kingdom fans discussed it in a joking and cheerful tone. Everyone still dare not think that Luo Ye can win the Golden Boot for the entire season. But now at least it is a fact that Luo Ye ranks first on the scorer list. Luo Ye looked towards the mixed interview area. The reporters were already looking forward to it. He looked at Barak. Captain, why didn't you stop me this time? Ballack spread his hands. You have already received the club's media public relations skills training, haven't you? That's true. Luo Ye smiled. This week, a special person from the public relations department of the Leverkusen club came to give him training. The main thing is how to face the media. It can be summed up in 3 words: practice Tai Chi. Don't be fooled by reporters. Don't worry, Captain, look at my performance. Luo Ye confidently came to the mixed interview area with sponsor logos on the background board, and faced the reporters' cameras calmly. Barak, who was outside the camera, nodded with satisfaction. At least I don't have stage fright, which is a good start. Congratulations on scoring 2 goals in the game. Thanks. How does it feel to win this game? Cool. Ballack frowned, and according to the routine, Luo Ye should have said, this was a wonderful game. We were very difficult for a while, and our opponents caused some trouble for us, but we finally won. But he immediately laughed. Never mind. A young boy of 18. How could you expect him to be so greasy? You've already scored 4 goals in the Bundesliga. What are your personal goals for this season? The Golden Boot, of course. It's not easy. Is it too easy to be called a target? Luo Ye asked back. Although he didn't answer according to the routine, Barak, who was watching from outside the end, was still very pleased. This was a very successful interview. Luo Ye showed his personality without saying anything too sensational. Wait until the interview is over. Barak patted Luo Ye on the shoulder. Good performance. What's with this old father's happy smile? Luo Ye suddenly felt a little awkward. But then he thought about it. This may be the cultural difference between the Dragon Kingdom and the Hans Kingdom. People from the Dragon Kingdom are relatively reserved in their emotions. After returning to the locker room, Luo Ye accepted the congratulations from his teammates. After he finished soaking in ice water under the arrangement of the medical team, changed his clothes and prepared to board the bus back to the base with the team, he had time to look at his gains today. Playing the full game in 2 consecutive games, scoring in 2 consecutive games, and scoring twice in 2 consecutive games are all rewarded. Among them, the player templates obtained by playing the full game in 2 consecutive games and scoring goals in 2 consecutive games. The player's name, Luo Ye, had to be searched online to find it. It did not have much improvement effect, so he simply recycled them all. 400 and 600 points were obtained respectively. And the reward for scoring twice in 2 consecutive games is pretty good. Giroud's ball protecting ability template. Olivier Giroud, the French forward currently playing for Montpellier, is also a template for a big center. Although his finishing ability is not very good, his ability to protect the ball is still quite good. After obtaining the Giroud ball protecting ability template, Luo Ye's tactical value will become even greater. He can hold the ball in the front court, stabilize the front line in the opponent's backcourt, and wait for the appropriate support. Luo Ye is not a center who can solve problems alone. He relies heavily on the support of his teammates. If his teammates can't pass the cross, it will be hell for him to score a goal. Let Luo Ye dribble past the opponent and put the ball into the goal. This is too difficult. Of course, Luo Ye also hopes that he will become more and more versatile. But the meal must be eaten one bite at a time. Now my biggest advantage is strength. Based on this, only by continuing to strengthen his tactical role at the center position can he solidify his position in the team. At the same time, you can also make yourself more effective on the court. He scored twice in 2 consecutive games and got Giroud's ball protecting template. What about 3 games in a row? Or what about consecutive hat tricks? Luo Ye was extremely excited. Full of motivation. Episode 23, European War Draw, Luo Ye's Troubles. With the end of the second round of the Bundesliga, the arrival of the international match day has temporarily brought the Bundesliga competition to an end. At the same time, after this round of league ends, UEFA conducted draws for the Champions League and Europa League on Monday. Leverkusen ranked 4th in the league last season and had no choice but to participate in the Europa League. The Bundesliga's current qualification for the Champions League is 2+1. The top 2 in the league directly participate in the Champions League group stage, and the third place has to participate in the first round. After winning the playoffs, you can enter the group stage draw. The clubs representing the Bundesliga in the Champions League this season are Bayern, Schalke 04, and Werder Bremen. Leverkusen and Dortmund, who ranked 4th and 5th last season, can only participate in the Europa League. Luo Ye didn't care about the Champions League draw. For him, he didn't have much interest in events that he couldn't participate in. Although the Europa League is not as good as the Champions League in terms of level, the team that wins the Europa League can also be called the European champion. Luo Ye is still somewhat interested in this. In the city of Nyon, the headquarters of UEFA, the draw for the Europa League ended quickly. After all, the highlight of the night was the presentation of various Champions League awards and the draw for the Champions League. Last season's Triple Crown team Inter Milan became the big winner and won the most major awards. This is normal, after all, they won the Champions League. And in the Europa League draw, Leverkusen was drawn in Group B, in a group with Premier League team Manchester City, Norwegian Premier League team Rosenborg, and Russian Premier League team Zenit St. Petersburg. The situation in this group is neither good nor bad for Leverkusen. The strongest opponent is definitely Manchester City. The opponent is the giant of this season's summer transfer window. The oil consortium from the Middle East waived money and attracted a large number of stars in their prime to join Manchester City. In one fell swoop, this Manchester team, which Ferguson scornfully called the noisy neighbours, became one of the most luxurious teams in the Premier League, shocking the people of the Empire who were already in the sunset. Rosenborg of the Norwegian Super League is considered the dominant player in the Norwegian League, but the strength of the Norwegian Super League can only be regarded as a second or third-rate league in Europe. The Russian Super League has risen rapidly in recent years. This is mainly due to the soaring oil prices, which has made many oil oligarchs in the Rakshasa kingdom make a fortune. The Russian Super League has also bought many stars in recent years. However, if the strength can threaten Bayer Leverkusen from the Bundesliga, it is not yet at this level. The biggest threat to the Russian Super League teams from Western teams is the harsh environment of their home stadium, the cold climate, the adaptation difficulties caused by artificial turf, etc. Overall, most Chinese media believe that there will be no problem for Leverkusen to qualify from this group. However, not many media pay attention to the Europa League. Even if there are reports, the popularity is incomparable with that of the Champions League. The Champions League is the most watched football tournament in the world besides the World Cup. However, the Dragon Kingdom media is quite looking forward to the Europa League matches. Because if Luo Ye can play in the Europa League and score goals, yes, he is going to make history again, the first Dragon country player to score a goal in the European war. The honor of being the first to play in a European game will definitely not belong to Luo Ye, because several Dragon country players have played in European games before, but there really weren't any goals scored. Luo Ye's outstanding performance in the Bundesliga has also raised more expectations in the country. The news of Luo Ye's goal was also reported on the national television morning news at the weekend. In the second round of the Bundesliga yesterday, Bayer Leverkusen played at home against Borussia Mönchengladbach. In the Bundesliga focus match, Chinese player Luo Ye performed well. He completed the goal in this round. The second goal was a good one, and the other goal also came from his attack that caused the goalkeeper to let go, and Leverkusen captain Ballack's empty net shot. It didn't take long. But national television rarely broadcasts sports news. The most popular sports news is usually very important news, such as the retirement of legendary stars, the results of the Champions League finals, and the World Cup finals. As a result, Luo Ye is now reported. This makes the fans of Dragon Kingdom very excited. The man who went from 5-1. What do you mean by cards? With such a card, won't the national team recruit anyone this time? Guide Gao Hongba probably also took this into consideration. What AF GFA? For a time, the fans' anger was directed at the Football Association. Only. It is the consensus within the Football Association not to recruit Luo Ye into the team. This guy doesn't understand the rules. Now that he's here, how can everyone dare to make money with confidence? What if he talks nonsense in the media? This is simply destroying people's jobs. How can we not make people hate us? What? What do you think about the results of the national football team? This matter, does the Football Association care? Are the grades good and delaying everyone's money making? The arrival of the national team match day has reduced Leverkusen's first team by more than half. Hanks could only maintain the team's training by transferring a group of people from the reserve team and youth team. However, since most of the main force has left, it is actually impossible to train any tactical content, mainly just some basic training. And for Luo Ye, the advantage of not having to join the national team is that he can stay in Leverkusen and continue to steadily improve himself. Although the integration of templates has improved his technical score very quickly. But Luo Ye knows very well that having skills and abilities are one thing. How to make good use of your abilities is another matter. This requires constant running in and constant adaptation. Just like his body that had been growing rapidly before, in order to adapt to the increase in his height, Luo Ye really trained hard. And now after a day of training, there is also a little beauty who gives herself acupuncture to recover. This little day is so beautiful. That night, Luo Ye dragged his tired body back to his residence. While receiving ancestral acupuncture, the two also started chatting. In a foreign country, the relationship between the two fellow villagers has progressed quite quickly, and now they are at least friends who talk about everything. I see people on the internet saying they want you to join the national team. Lin Shui held the silver needle and turned it slightly. Her acupuncture techniques have become much better due to frequent insertion into Luo Ye. I offended the Football Association. There is a high chance that someone will mess with me if I go. Luo Ye explained while lying on the sofa. Why don't you go to nightclubs recently? Hey, I want to come too. That guy Reinards has come to see me 2 or 3 times, but you know what? My current contract is still a beggar's contract. I have no money. I can't let my teammates treat me every time, Luo Ye hasn't finished speaking yet. I felt a pain in my back. Lin Shui. You avenge your private revenge. Humph. Lin Shui flipped up her short hair and smiled slightly. Going to a nightclub? You are so beautiful. Episode 24, Contract Concerns, Bayern is anxious. Luo Ye told the truth. He is a player on loan from Bayern Munich from Bayer Leverkusen. So the current contract is still in Bayern's hands. His current contract is indeed a beggar's contract in Bayern's first team. The annual salary is less than 300,000 euros. After tax, it is directly cut in half, halved. They are 1% of the team bosses, such as Ribery, Robin, and other top stars. And going to a high-end nightclub for a night will cost you thousands of dollars. It's okay to go occasionally, but often, the money he makes now is too much to bear. So Luo Ye is very distressed now. It stands to reason. With his performance, most teams have long since come to him for a salary increase and contract extension. But his contract is at Bayern and he is on loan at the pharmaceutical factory. I don't have an agent myself. There is no professional to help with this matter. It's really not easy to operate. Ask for a salary increase? Who should I talk to? Bayern is still a pharmaceutical company. Luo Ye gets a headache just thinking about these problems. However, he is a forward who can score 4 goals in 2 Bundesliga games and earn a beggar's salary. Does it fit? Not suitable. So what should we do? Luo Ye now understands why stars must find a good agency. Make money, negotiate contracts. Players are not professional. Luo Ye was thinking about a salary increase. What about Bayern? At least Van Gaal is thinking about recalling Luo Ye in advance. Originally, Van Gaal thought that with the team's forward reserves, he didn't have to worry about scoring goals. The results are now after 2 league rounds. Bayern Munich lost to Werder Bremen at home and was tied with Hamburg away from home. 2 rounds of league games, 1 loss and 1 draw, with no wins. Bayern Munich, which only scored 1 point, is directly at the bottom of the standings. Ranked 13th. Although the league has just begun, this ranking is really embarrassing for Bayern. And the problem is even bigger. 2 games. Bayern Munich. Not a single goal was scored. Yes, the overlord of the Bundesliga has not scored a single goal in 2 league rounds. This kind of performance is really shocking. Now every Bayern fan is like an inflated hydrogen balloon, ready to explode. Even worse. Gomez is injured again. The number 1 center in the country of Hans, who has high hopes, and Klose's successor, now seems to be a bit glassy. Injured at every turn. And after Gomez was injured, the team's only big center is Aulich. But as Aulich got older, his athletic ability declined significantly. Of course. The team can also use Thomas Müller to play center. But Thomas Müller is not a big center. It is not impossible to use him as a center, but the team's tactical style will be subject to certain restrictions. So at this time, Van Gaal suddenly realized, I really miss Luo Ye. Lao Fan really regretted it. And when Lao Fan regretted why he was blinded by lard and wanted to rent Luo Ye out, Bayern's top brass discovered. Luo Ye's contract only has 1.5 years left. The end date of his contract is December 31st, 2011. In other words, after being loaned to Bayer Leverkusen and returning to Bayern Munich, Luo Ye only has half a year of contract left. According to FIFA regulations, players with only half a year of contract left can already freely contact other teams and wait for the end of the contract to transfer freely. Thus, Bayern Munich's loss is huge. Before, Bayern's senior management didn't think that a player who was about to be terminated by the team was worth paying attention to, so he just rented it to Leverkusen, with 1.5 years left on the contract. In a hurry. But now, with Luo Ye's 2 consecutive wonderful performances in Leverkusen, the senior management of Bayern Munich suddenly realized the risks of Luo Ye's contract to Bayern. Why should such a player be loaned out? Bayern Munich president Rummenigge appeared angry at a high-level meeting. Bayern's top executives are basically retired stars and legendary players from their own clubs. This is also a characteristic of many Bundesliga teams. We didn't expect. Luo has improved so much. His performance in these 2 games is almost completely different from his previous performance. Hoeneß's face didn't look good either. After all, it was his decision to rent out Luo Ye. Can it be recalled? The transfer window has not closed yet. Rummenigge said with a frown. The Bundesliga transfer window closes on September 31st, and there are still 48 hours before the transfer window closes. It's hard. We don't have an early recall clause. We can only ask Leverkusen to agree to an early recall, but... Hoeneß shook his head. Rummenigge's brows furrowed tighter. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Even Bayern cannot agree to Luo Ye's early recall under such circumstances. Luo Ye is already the team's main force, even the core of the offense, and he will be released when the transfer window closes in 48 hours. Walking away from Luo Ye, where do you ask Leverkusen to find a substitute? This is simply impossible. Rummenigge could only sigh. Then his contract must be resolved and renewed. We cannot allow the club's assets to be lost in vain. Rummenigge is very clear about the value of a Dragon Country star who has the potential to play the main role in Bayern Munich. There is a huge market of more than 1 billion people behind him. What is all this? It's all money. Rummenigge believes that scouts from big clubs across Europe are definitely paying attention to Luo Ye. Modern football has entered the golden era. In particular, UEFA is brewing plans to restrict foreign investment. As a member of the UEFA Council, Rummenigge already knows some inside information. A financial fair play policy will be released soon. Limit clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City. The team's future investment and signings often depends on the team's own profitability. And one can imagine how tempting a Dragon Country star can be to a wealthy club. He doesn't have an agent. Hoeneß said with a headache. Let's get in touch with Leverkusen first and see if we can recall him in advance. Rummenigge said with the mentality of giving it a try. Episode 25, Bayern's not-for-sale goods, the competition between the two major brokerage companies. Recall? Leverkusen General Manager's office. Club General Manager Lever really wants to find out what kind of shit is in the head of Bayern General Manager Hoeneß. Is this something that anyone can imagine? The transfer window is about to close. Are you going to take back the players you rented to us half a month ago? What is this? Play. You guys at Bayern are really awesome, digging in the big league of the Bundesliga. But you also have to look at when it is. The transfer window closes in just over a day. You took away our main striker? What do you think of us, Leverkusen? Your Bayern Munich satellite team? Tell them, this is impossible. Worrell refused outright. Then he rolled his eyes. Let the news out, just say, we are going to buy out Luo. Hoeneß could guess Leverkusen's reaction with his butt. Since it is unlikely to recall Luo Ye this season. Then Bayern. We can't watch Luo Ye leave on a free transfer next year in vain. Therefore, we still have to renew the contract with Luo Ye. This afternoon, Hoeneß was surrounded by reporters as soon as he walked out of the gate of Bayern's training base. Mr. Hoeneß, is it true that Leverkusen wants to buy out Luo Ye? Does Bayern Munich really want to sell Luo Ye? He is currently the top scorer in the Bundesliga, and Bayern has not scored a goal since the start of the new season. Mr. Hoeneß, I heard that Luo Ye's contract only has 1.5 years left. As soon as he went out, Hoeneß was confused by the reporter's questions. Leverkusen wants to buy out Luo Ye? Where to start? And who leaked the contents of Luo Ye's contract? After thinking about it for a while, Hoeneß gritted his teeth. I said viciously in my heart, damn Worrell. Needless to say, these messages must have been released by Worrell. Hoeneß was filled with hatred. There was still a smile on his face. Luo is not for sale to us. We are very optimistic about his future at Bayern. We will not sell him. As for the contract issue you mentioned, yes, we are now preparing to renew his contract. Hoeneß smiled. On the one hand, he released this news to warn other wealthy teams that Luo Ye is ours and we cannot sell him. On the other hand, it is to show favor to Luo Ye. Tell Luo Ye clearly that the team is renewing your contract and raising your salary. This national team match day. The news about the national team has been temporarily marginalized by the two clubs Bayern and Pharmaceuticals because of the pull caused by Luo Ye. After all, there are no international competitions now. The World Cup in South Africa has just ended, and the national teams of various countries are in the process of repair and adjustment. It's the time to inspect new people. And in this poll, a piece of news that did not receive much attention was discovered by some thoughtful people. Lisbon City. Mendes Agency Headquarters. Mendes, the most famous football agent in Europe, looked at Luo Ye's game video thoughtfully. Although his characteristics are very simple, this characteristic is extremely strong. With this, he also has the opportunity to become a first-class center, said a technical analyst at a brokerage firm. For Mendes, the players he wants to sign are not something he signs casually. It must at least be investigated and analyzed. He will choose to sign a contract only if he has the strength. After all, Mendes's sign is now here. If he signs too many parallel imports, it will damage his sign. More importantly, he is from the Dragon Kingdom. On the other side of Mendes is a business analyst. Wearing eyes, a tie, and a black suit, he looks like an elite in the financial world. Open a PPT variably. Based on the traffic situation on the Longwan network after the game, more than 20 million Longwan netizens directly participated in the topic about Luo Ye. This is only a conservative estimate. And that's not counting the probably equivalent number of TV viewers. This huge traffic shows that the commercial value of Luo Ye is very, very huge. When Mendes heard this, a smile appeared on his face. I didn't expect that such a number one figure would suddenly appear in football. And he doesn't have an agent. So, we have to act fast, right? Yes, boss, there may be many brokerage companies ready to contact him now, and we must send personnel to Han's country immediately. Send someone? Mendes thought for a moment, then looked up. I'd better go there myself. As soon as this statement came out, many staff members of the brokerage company in the conference room had expressions of surprise on their faces. Now the Mendes agency has a wide range of business and has signed many players and coaches. The Mendes agency has even established a scouting system in Portugal and New Zealand and signed a large number of teenage players. Mendes serves as the face and boss of the company. Nowadays, it is very rare to go out in person to sign players. Those who can get Mendes personal service are big customers like Cristiano Ronaldo and Mourinho. And Luo Ye. Although he has gained some fame now. But compared with figures like Cristiano Ronaldo and Mourinho, it's still too far, too far. As long as this kid can play stably in a club like Bayern in the future, his commercial value will not be much less than Cristiano. Mendes explained. As the boss of the largest brokerage company in Europe, his sense of smell in this regard is too keen. At the same time, care about the country. City of Milan. Another boss of a brokerage company as famous as Mendes, Mino Raiola, is also preparing to leave for Han's country. It was able to alert two of the most well-known agents in Europe to personally take action. This has fully demonstrated the commercial potential of Luo Ye itself. Episode 26, The Attention of Wealthy Families and the Agent Who Signed the Contract. It's not just the major European brokerage firms that are eyeing Luo Ye as a cash cow. Scouting reports on Luo Ye also appeared on the desks of the head coaches of major wealthy clubs. Madrid, the training base of Real Madrid. Mourinho, the trusted head coach of Real Madrid who led Inter Milan to win the treble last season and became the most watched head coach in the world, stared at the scouting report in his hand and Luo was playing on the projector in his office. Ye's game video. The impact is really strong. Mourinho sighed. But then he put the scouting report on the drawer and turned off the projection. It's just that the characteristics are too single. He said. You can ask about the price. If possible, I can buy it. At critical moments, such a powerful striker is quite useful. Mourinho regards Luo Ye as a supplement to the lineup, a high center forward who plays high-altitude balls when falling behind. This means that although Real Madrid will quote, they will never quote an exaggerated price. Actually, head coaches of wealthy clubs have too many things to consider. Forwards like Luo Ye, who have such obvious advantages and disadvantages, the attitude of the head coaches of many wealthy clubs is the same. There is indeed a shortage of centers like Luo Ye in the world, but the positioning of this type of center, it's just a frontline addition. Used as a substitute. Therefore, Luo Ye does not expect that he will get desperate investment from the majority of wealthy teams now. As for Bayern Munich, they know more about Luo Ye. Luo Ye's speed of improvement and his scoring ability are here. Faced with tentative offers from giants in leagues such as China, England, Italy, and other countries, Bayern Munich general manager Hoeneß's attitude was just two words: refuse. Look at it from the bright side. Luo Ye is indeed just a forward with very single characteristics. However, if you take into account the speed of his progress, Bayern Munich is still willing to take a gamble. Not to mention, Bayern's performance is so bad now, not scoring a single goal in 2 league rounds. The striker who was loaned out scored 4 goals in 2 games. Such a strong contrast. The fans of Bayern Munich are very dissatisfied in the Bundesliga. Fans have a huge influence on the club. Even if it's to appease the fans. It is also Bayern Munich's current top priority to complete the contract extension with Luo Ye as soon as possible. And for Luo Ye, there was also an imminent question before him: how to choose a suitable brokerage company. Although many fans think that agents are vampires for players. But only when you become a professional player do you realize the importance of an agent. For example, things like contract renewal negotiations are actually very professional. Luo Ye is a professional player, and playing football is his specialty. As for business negotiations and legal risks, he knew nothing about it. Professionals do professional things. Luo Ye basically has no connections in Europe. So, he decisively chose the two largest agent brands in Europe, Mendes and Raiola. But when you worry about being cheated, the risk of choosing a big brand is naturally relatively low. Especially after learning that the heads of the two major brokerage companies would meet with him in person, Luo Ye was even more convinced he would not be cannon fodder for the brokerage company, but their cash cow, of course, from his own side. The prerequisite for making money is that Luo Ye's economic income can also increase significantly. The first thing he saw was Raiola. The fat man who is most hated by head coaches and club managers across Europe is quite kind. His advice to Luo Ye was to hang on to Bayern. When the season is over and he can freely choose his team, his initiative will be extremely huge. From the perspective of salary income, Raiola's suggestion may indeed help Luo Ye get a bigger contract. Mendes' suggestions were relatively conservative, and he also brought plans for Luo Ye's future business development. Compared to Raiola, the Mendes agency is more professional in expanding the commercial value of players. They don't just focus on players' salaries, but also include a series of industry development plans. Considering that Cristiano Ronaldo is a client of the Mendes agency, and on the premise that his competitive performance is slightly suppressed by Messi, he can become the most commercially valuable football player in the world. The professionalism of Mendes agency gave Luo Ye more tendencies. Personality is very important, Luo. You may not become the highest paid player in the world, but Mendes tactically drinks water. But you are very likely to become the player with the highest commercial value in the world. Honestly, it was this sentence that interrupted Luo Ye. He is certainly confident of becoming the highest paid footballer in the world and the best in the world. But he knows it too. Based on his current performance, no one but him would dare to believe that a center who currently relies on impact and headers has the potential to become the best player in the world. Therefore, based on your own basic situation, the plan Mendes gave was relatively reasonable, low risk, and it wouldn't give himself a bad reputation. Bayern Munich is a good platform. My suggestion is, when you are at the peak of your performance, renew your contract with them. Mendes said. Luo Ye follows the good and the good. He decided quickly. Sign with the Mendes agency and leave your contract renewal negotiations to Mendes and his professionals. Luo, you made a right choice. Mendes smiled. You will become the most profitable football player in the world. I guarantee it. As long as you keep performing the way you are. So, what do I need to do? Luo Ye asked curiously. You don't have to do anything but score goals and keep scoring goals. Mendes laughed. Episode 27, a forward who can score goals is a good forward. When I heard that the agent Luo Ye signed was Mendes instead of Raiola, Honus admitted that he was indeed a little relieved. Compared to a pure bad vampire like Raiola, Mendes is a little bit more civilized. But when he heard the annual salary Mendes requested, he jumped immediately. 8 million euros? This is impossible. Absolutely, absolutely impossible. Honus shook his head like a rattle. The most we can give is 4 million. Have to. The differences between the two parties on annual salary are so big, so this negotiation can be considered successful. Luo Ye doesn't expect the contract to be negotiated anytime soon. The meal must be eaten one bite at a time, and the road must be walked step by step. If you take a long step, it will be easy to pull off the eggs. There are a lot of rumors about Luo Ye's contract in the media. The 2 weeks of national team matches soon came to an end. The biggest good news for Leverkusen is that there has been no attrition of players during the 2 weeks of national team matches. And the only bad news is, the team has just resumed collective training, and Leverkusen's number 9 forward Hermes was injured again. Fortunately, the team's forward reserves are relatively abundant. In the third round of the league, Luo Ye still started in the away game against Hannover 96. Away games are often not very good. But this game? From the beginning of the game, the fans of Hannover 96 seemed very helpless. In the first minute of the game, Ballack's long shot hit the defensive player's foot and created a corner kick. Then Luo Ye seized the corner kick opportunity and headed the ball into the goal. Leverkusen got off to a fantastic start. It's because of this ball. This resulted in a crazy offensive battle. Hannover 96, who were playing at home, were naturally not willing to lose the game at their home court, so they attacked aggressively after conceding the goal. Leverkusen also did not play conservatively. Utilizing Luo Ye's role as a bridgehead in the frontcourt, Leverkusen's offense also appears to be very simple and direct. The two sides started an offensive battle. Let the neutral fans be hooked. In the 12th minute of the game, Luo Ye scored a high point in the frontcourt and assisted Kiesling to complete the goal. Leverkusen leads 2-0. But just 2 minutes later, Hannover 96 pulled one back. Before the end of the first half, Hannover 96 made a very fast counterattack and evened the score. 2-2. The first half of the game between the two sides ended with this score, and the fans were excited to watch the offensive battle between the two sides. The second half of the game started. Hannover 96's shot hit the hand of Leverkusen center-back Hypatia, and the referee awarded a penalty kick. Hannover 96 midfielder Sergio Pinto made an immediate goal to help Hannover 96 take the lead. Oh. Shocking reversal. Shocking reversal. Hannover 96 scored 3 goals in a row to reverse the score after falling behind by 2 goals. Leverkusen is in trouble. Leverkusen is in big trouble. In the commentary box, the commentators exclaimed. The entire Saxony stadium was in a state of excitement. Facing Bayer Leverkusen, who have been in excellent form since the start of the new season, Hannover 96, a Bundesliga lift team, was able to complete a comeback after falling behind by 2 goals. This made the fans of Hannover 96 extremely happy. They sang and danced in the stands and sang loudly for their team. Hanks was so angry that he roared from the side. These guys underestimate the enemy. Do they think it's amazing that they have won 2 consecutive games? Hanks complained to his assistant. It could be the impact of the international break. His assistant said, shaking his head. On international matches, Leverkusen has far more international players than Hannover 96. In terms of physical fitness, Leverkusen does not have an advantage. However, Hanks does not think that being beaten by 3 goals after a 2-goal lead is worthy of forgiveness. Attack. Attack. If we can't come back, all vacations for the next month will be cancelled. He pulled the team captain Ballack and shouted. Next, Leverkusen's players also went all out. If they are overturned even though they are leading by 2 goals, all the people on the court will become a joke. In the crazy attack, Leverkusen's main method is to pass the ball from both sides. For a while, Luo Ye became the most eye-catching player on the court. He was firing on all cylinders, constantly attacking his opponent's defense. Hannover 96 originally planned to defend and counterattack after taking the lead. However, under Leverkusen's violent attack, it became only defensive and no counterattack. They all took back the restricted area. An iron barrel formation was set up in an attempt to hold on to the victory. However, in the post-match summary, the head coach of Hannover 96 expressed regret that after taking the lead, Hannover 96 acted too conservatively, which gave Leverkusen a chance. Because in Leverkusen's formation, there is a battering ram to break the dense defense. Breaking the dense defense is nothing more than 3 common methods: high-altitude balls, long-range shots, and breakthroughs to cause damage. Thanks to the tireless efforts of Leverkusen. The 73rd minute of the game. Luo Ye finally broke through the defense and headed the ball into the goal. Luo Ye. Schultz in the commentary box put his head in his hands and exclaimed. 6th goal. 6 goals in 3 games. Scored twice in 3 consecutive games. God. He is like a monster. The Saxony stadium also fell silent briefly at this moment. In the Dragon Kingdom, almost all the fans were shocked. They scored twice in 3 consecutive games. What is this concept? The striker with the most goals in the 5 major European leagues is also yellow, right? However, that didn't stop the fans from being shocked. The game time is ticking by. Just when people thought this goal battle would end with a score of 3-3. The 93rd minute of the game. When the referee was already looking at his watch, he was about to blow the whistle to end the game. Ballack made a cross pass in the penalty area. Luo Ye moved forward, fell to the ground and shot. Shoveled the ball into the goal. Hat-trick, the commentators exclaimed. Hanks on the sidelines was also holding his head in his hands, his face full of shock. Yes, Luo Ye has shortcomings of one kind or another. But he can score if he can't stand it. As long as a forward can score goals, he is a good forward. Episode 28, Heavy Artillery Skills, Virtual Training Ground. The game is over. The game is over. A crazy goal battle. Luo Ye scored the first hat-trick of his career. It is true that in discussions in the media, people will always mention Luo Ye's shortcomings, but the reality is that he scored 7 goals in 3 rounds of the league. Yes. 7 balls in 3 rounds. Not only is he now the top scorer in the Bundesliga, but he is also the top scorer in the 5 major leagues. Even Messi and Ronaldo are behind him, and La Liga has played 4 rounds. The Bundesliga has only been played for 3 rounds. In the media box, Schultz looked at Luo Ye, who had just scored a hat-trick, with a shocked expression. Luo Ye is holding a game ball and accepting congratulations from his teammates. No doubt. Now Luo Ye will be the focus of all media. No matter how he scored, the data of hat-trick and 7 goals in 3 games are here. No one can ignore him. For a striker, is there any ability more important than the ability to score goals? Ding. You have completed the achievement of scoring twice in 3 consecutive games. Ding. You achieved your first career hat-trick. Ding. System rewards are being drawn. Ding. You have obtained the elite player Batistuta skill template, heavy artillery. Stare. You have obtained an S-level prop, skill virtual training ground. Batistuta? Batistuta, god of war? Luo Ye took a deep breath. Heavy artillery. Batistuta's heavy artillery is his signature scoring method. That is to say, in addition to getting the abilities of some players, you can also get the special moves of some players in the form of skills. Luo Ye cheered up. He thought of many star signatures. Ronaldinho's cowtail. Beckham's full moon scimitar. Zidane's Marseille slalom. And things like heavy artillery can't even be considered Baptista's signature feature, they can only be said to be characteristics. Heavy artillery, plus 10% ball speed for shots outside the penalty area, plus 10% accuracy. This effect can be said to be quite awesome. Stare. Prerequisites for heavy artillery skills, basic shooting skills score is 93 or above. You have not met the prerequisites for heavy artillery skills. You can choose 1. Direct integration, which takes 1 year to complete, 2. Strengthen basic shooting training at the Skills Virtual Training Ground. Skill Virtual Training Ground can be entered when the host is asleep. Each use requires 50 points. You can spend 100 points to reset your physical energy. Reset physical fitness? Luo Ye was shocked. Does this mean that as long as you enter the training ground and spend 100 points, you can restore your physical fitness to its peak state? If it is like this, then the value of this virtual training field alone is huge enough. But now is not the time to go into details. If you choose direct integration, you have to wait a year. Let's take a look at the functions of this skills virtual training field first. Luo Ye's hat trick shocked the entire Bundesliga. And that night, Luo Ye entered the skills virtual training hall. The first thing that comes into view is a scene similar to a library. Ding. Please purchase a training course. Basic shooting enhancement, 200 points. Free kick specialization enhancement, 500 points. Dribbling breakthrough enhancement, 800 points. Please note, training and other training courses cannot be carried out until one training course is completed. The dazzling array of training courses made Luo Ye almost eccentric and charming. Heavy artillery pre-skills require basic shooting skills to reach 93 points or above. In this case, Luo Ye took his eyes back from the various training subjects. I felt a little excited. With this virtual training ground, I can improve faster. Ding. You purchased the basic archery intensive training course. Will you enter the training ground? Yes. As the screen changes, a stadium came into view, and it turned out to be the stadium at Leverkusen's training base. The first stage of training, in-step volley, training method. Following the prompt from the system, a coach walked over with a whistle hanging around his neck. Luo Ye took a closer look and breathed a sigh of relief. At least the coach's face model matched the system, not the captured model of Leverkusen's coach. Otherwise, Luo Ye was really afraid of getting it confused. Previously, Luo Ye's additional training was his own personal training. But now in the virtual training ground, there are actually professional coaches to provide guidance. Get twice the result with half the effort. Luo Ye looked at his points, 3,700 points. Enough. In the system's virtual training ground, Luo Ye was sweating profusely. When you are too tired to move, spend points to reset your physical energy. This way, his basic archery training progressed very quickly. One night passed. Luo Ye's basic shooting skill score increased from 79 to 83. At this speed, it seems that it is not far away to reach a score of 93 in basic shooting skills. And at this time, the media throughout the country of Hans are reporting crazily on Luo Ye's hat trick. Luo Ye is a whirlwind in the Bundesliga. All Hungsea National University media put him on the front page. Dragon Kingdom center Luo Ye shocked the Bundesliga. Battle of offense. Luo Ye scores a hat trick. 7 goals in 3 games, Ronaldo is taking the Bundesliga by storm. Can Bayern Munich still keep him? For a while. Luo Ye's name appeared on the front page of every newspaper. This is true in the Hans Kingdom, let alone the Dragon Kingdom. And for Bayern Munich general manager Hoeneß. He is simply in pain and happiness now. The better Luo Ye performs, the more powerful a center Bayern Munich can get. But he is currently on loan at Bayer Leverkusen. His outstanding performance meant that Leverkusen continued to advance rapidly, and Leverkusen, which had won 3 consecutive games, was firmly at the top of the list. Bayern finally won in this round. With Robben's goal, they defeated Wolfsburg 1-0 at home and won their first win of the season. The better Luo Ye's performance also means his contract negotiations are becoming more difficult. Mendes now has an annual salary of €6 million. This price is considered to be at the upper end of the Bayern team, second only to some core players and veterans. Hoeneß really doesn't want to give such a big contract to an 18-year-old player. As we all know, among all the super giants in the world, Bayern Munich is famous for its deductions. They are different from the fussy giants in Serie A. Those in Serie A are subject to the economic downturn in Italy and really have no money, while Bayern is rich, and very rich. But they just don't know how to spend a lot of money. Hat trick. Hoeneß almost couldn't hold on. Wait, now is not a good time to renew the contract. Hoeneß, as a veteran, certainly knows that Luo Ye is at the peak of his form now. It is unlikely that a player's condition will always be at its peak. Sooner or later it will slip. The issue is, when will Luo Ye's condition decline? Episode 29, Decline in Status? Goodwill from Bayern. Hoeneß was right. Luo Ye seemed to be in trouble after breaking out against Hannover 96. The scoring rate has dropped. In the 4th round of the league, Leverkusen faced Nuremberg at home. In this game, Leverkusen won 2-1 and Luo Ye scored a goal. In midweek, in the 1st round of the Europa League, Leverkusen faced Rosenborg at home. In this game, Luo Ye started the game and scored the only goal of the game, making a good start in the European competition. At the same time, Luo Ye also scored the first goal for a Dragon Kingdom player in the European competition, which aroused heated discussion among the media and fans in Dragon Kingdom. However, not many media in the country of Hans focused on a Europa League group stage. After all, at the same time, the Champions League matches were also in full swing. Compared to the Champions League, the Europa League still gets too little attention. Luo Ye is determined that next season, he must participate in the Champions League. While playing, he spent almost all of his time in the virtual training ground. The technical shooting score improved rapidly in the early stage, but began to decline in the later stage, especially after the score reached 89 points. The score did not rise to 90 after 2 consecutive days of training. 89 points is a bottleneck. If the archery score reaches 90, it can be said to be a top-notch archery skill. The weekend after the Europa League game, Leverkusen faces Stuttgart away from home. Although Luo Ye scored a goal in this game, raising his number of goals in the league to 9 goals and leading the scorer list, it did not help the team win Leverkusen's 4-game winning streak in the summer but stop. A week later, Leverkusen hosts Frankfurt. Although Leverkusen rediscovered the feeling of victory, they defeated their opponents 2-0 at home. But Luo Ye's consecutive goals did not come. After scoring in 5 consecutive league games, Luo Ye's consecutive goals also came to an abrupt end. At this time, discussions about Luo Ye's status began to appear in the media. In the last 4 games, Luo Ye only scored 3 goals, and he scored 7 goals in the first 3 games of the season. In terms of goal efficiency, Luo Ye's goal efficiency suddenly dropped. This is related to his single characteristic. When all opponents in the league are studying him, the problem of his single offensive method is finally exposed. The famous football commentator and former Hans national football star Paul Breitner wrote this in his Bild column. As a professional player who has played for Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, Breitner's comments are quite objective. Luo Ye scored a hat-trick against Hannover 96 and scored 7 goals in 3 games at the start of the season. He will naturally become the subject of study by all Bundesliga teams. Head coaches of all Bundesliga teams will focus on how to deal with Luo Ye. And in this case, the problem of Luo Ye's offensive methods being too single finally came to a head. These games are proof of that. After 6 league rounds, although he scored 9 league goals and 10 goals in all competitions, he was the first player in the Bundesliga to score double figures this season. At the same time, he also topped the league scorer list with 9 league goals. Top of the list. Behind him, Bayern center Gomez, Freiburg forward Cisse, the one who Xingji broke his leg with, Schalke 04 veteran Real Madrid star Bernabeu ring King Raul tied for second, and only scored 4 goals. Just a goal. But the media will not be speechless because of this. You have made more in total, but you still have to look at the trends. The trend is that in the first 3 rounds of the league, Luo Ye scored 7 goals. In the last 3 rounds, only 2 have been scored. In the face of such data, you can easily draw the conclusion, Luo Ye's scoring efficiency has dropped, and it has dropped significantly. Especially since he finally stopped scoring consecutive goals. And that's the case. The 7th round of the league. Leverkusen is about to go to Munich to challenge Bayern away from home. This game is undoubtedly the highlight of the Bundesliga. Preview of the 7th round of the Bundesliga. The focus of this round is undoubtedly Bayern Munich's home match against Bayer Leverkusen, the team currently at the top of the standings. There are too many things to watch in this game. Can Leverkusen win in safety? Taking away 3 points at the United Stadium consolidated its top position. Whether Dragon Kingdom center Luo Ye, whose recent form is in doubt, can rebel against his old club at the Allianz Arena. In Sky Sports TV's flagship program, Bundesliga Preview, host Schultz invited Bayern Munich star, Lion Kahn, and Bayer Leverkusen football star Benjamin Kirsten to come together. Inviting celebrities from both sides to have a verbal exchange before the game starts is an old routine in many football programs. Fans really just accept this. Luo is a good player, and his impact may be the strongest in history. Yes, I am very optimistic about his future. But his shortcomings are too obvious, and his characteristics are too single. I think he will be a good player in the future. A good player, but to reach the level where he scored 7 goals in 3 games at the beginning of the season, I'm afraid it's impossible. Kahn shook his head and said. He's been studied very well, hasn't he? I think he needs to adapt to that. He'll be a good tactical center forward, his impact is there, but he's unlikely to be a goal-scoring striker. Why is it impossible? He is only 18 years old. Benjamin Kirsten retorted. Isn't it obvious? Kahn spread his hands. Everyone knows how to defend him. He doesn't have many offensive methods except headers. Although Bayern started the season in a bad state, they quickly adjusted. A wave of 4 consecutive victories proved that Bayern is still the absolute dominant player in this league. Under this situation, I don't think Luo Ye can face Bayern. It's time to score. The preview of Bayern Munich's home game against Bayer Leverkusen has turned into a debate about can Luo Ye still return to his crazy state of 7 goals in 3 games at the beginning of the season? Obviously. Kahn won. Because most media and fans agree with his point of view, Luo Ye is very good, his impact is very strong, but his characteristics are too single and there are too few offensive weapons. It is impossible for him to become a team. Depends on the main scorer, but he can become a very good tactical center. That is to say, Luo Ye can become a good wingman player. Use his impact to create space for his teammates. This kind of public opinion atmosphere quickly spread in the Hungsea National Football Circle. Of course, Honest fueling was indispensable. Contract renewal negotiations. It is also necessary to create some advantages in public opinion. In this case, Honest took the initiative to make concessions. He called Mendes and expressed that Bayern Munich was willing to compromise and increase his annual salary to €4 million. Take a look. When your customers are in a sluggish state and public opinion is not favorable, our Bayern Munich club is still willing to make concessions and take the initiative to increase the stakes. And that was before the game against Bayern. In Honest's view, this is definitely a great kindness. Episode 30, work hard quietly and then surprise everyone. In the virtual training ground, as the system sound sounded, Luo Ye collapsed on the turf and gasped. This month, he almost died. Finally passed all the training courses of basic archery. The basic shooting score has been increased to 93, and the heavy artillery skill has been integrated. With the improvement of his basic shooting skills, Luo Ye's feeling of shooting with his feet has improved a lot. Plus skill enhancement. From now on, long shots can also be my basic scoring method. Luo Ye took a deep breath. Since the fusion of templates only takes the upper limit rather than directly superposing it, Luo Ye has already predicted that he will not be able to progress as fast as he is now in the future. The virtual training ground gave Luo Ye another possibility to improve various basic skills through his own dedicated training. Basic ball feel, basic passing, etc. System, physical reset. Ding. Whether you spend 100 points to reset your physical fitness will be restored to its peak state. Yes. As Luo Ye's voice fell, a cool, warm current flowed through his limbs. The physical energy that had been completely consumed before was restored in an instant. Keep training. Luo Ye rolled over like a fish and stood up. A shooting skill of 93 is considered a good score. When this basic shooting skill is improved, the scores including grabbing points in the penalty area, headers, free kicks, long shots, and volleys will all be improved accordingly. Luo Ye touched his chin. This is normal. Basic shooting skills are basic skills. If you have good basic skills, you can easily master various shooting methods. Otherwise, during youth training, the most important thing is to practice basic skills. Now my shooting skills are basically adequate. Coupled with my body and strength, I am already very strong in hitting the goal. What should be improved next is the feeling of the ball. Basic ball feel affects ball protection, ball stopping, ball dribbling, and other techniques. After the ball feel is improved, it can even improve the feeling of shooting accordingly. Now Luo Ye has 3 basic ratings on the technical panel: basic shooting, 93, basic passing, 71, basic ball feel, 73. Ding. Do you want to spend 1,000 points to purchase a basic ball feel training course? Yes. As new training courses are released, Luo Ye continues to sweat profusely in the virtual arena. Only scoring 2 goals in 3 games gave Luo Ye a serious sense of crisis. I am not willing to be just a tactical center and someone else's wingman. Luo Ye gritted his teeth and continued training. The next day, Luo Ye had just finished washing and was about to go to the training base when he received a call from Mendes. 4 million? Signing fee of 1 million? Luo Ye was actually a little surprised when he heard that Bayern was willing to get this number. He knew how many dunks Hoeneß had. In fact, according to his own ideas, it would be good to match Thomas Muller's contract. Muller's current annual salary is around 3.5 million. There is also a signing fee of 1 million. To be honest, Luo Ye was moved. Mendes asking for 6 million is a big deal for the Lions. If you give an 18-year-old player an annual salary of 6 million, it will be difficult to renew the contract and raise salary in the future. But Luo Ye changed his mind. It's been delayed for so long. Not so many days apart. Let's wait until we finish playing Bayern Munich, Jorge. After beating Bayern? Mendes was a little surprised. He could also see that Luo Ye was indeed being targeted, so Mendes believed that the conditions proposed by Bayern were acceptable. But Luo Ye actually wanted to talk after playing Bayern. This can only explain. Luo Ye has confidence in himself. Although I don't know where Luo Ye's confidence comes from. But Mendes decided to respect Luo Ye's idea. Don't worry, Jorge, all my energy is waiting for the game against Bayern, Luo Ye said with high spirits. He wants to prove himself in front of Bayern Munich. I am definitely a forward worthy of Bayern Munich's starting center level. He knows that once the contract extension with Bayern is completed, he will definitely return to Bayern next season. And status? It was kicked out. He mentioned that Bayern kicked harder. Bayern Munich will pay more attention to itself next season. This is why Luo Ye worked hard to complete the fusion of heavy artillery skills before facing Bayern. The thought of facing his old club. Luo Ye was full of energy. Now he has a heavy shot and a header. In the penalty area, he's a bomber. Outside the penalty area, he is cannon. The opponent is absolutely impossible to guard against. The training ground at Leverkusen's training ground. Goalkeeper Benalio was lying on the ground, not looking at the football in the goal behind him, but turning his head and looking blankly outside the penalty area. Everyone else made the same move as him, turning to look at the guy who had just completed the long shot, Luo Ye. Everyone even had the same expression, mouths open, eyes staring, necks stretched out. Assistant coach Peter Hermann, who served as the temporary referee, also forgot to blow the whistle and looked at Luo Ye blankly. Under the gaze of everyone, Luo Ye grinned. This is the effect he wants to see. Work hard quietly, and then, surprise everyone. The heavy artillery skill really suits him. First of all, his strength is indeed very strong, and his strength is also obvious in shooting. After his basic shooting score reaches 93 and he masters the correct shooting skills, his strength can be fully poured into football and he can play very well. Terrible ball speed. And on this basis, the heavy artillery skill can increase shooting accuracy by 10% and ball speed by 10%. Don't underestimate this 10%. The goal is about 10 meters wide. A 10% improvement in accuracy means that Luo Ye's shot can be corrected even if it normally misses by 1 meter. Generally speaking, whether a shot can go in or not often only depends on a dozen or 20 centimeters. Plus a 10% increase in ball speed. Luo Ye's already powerful shot will become even more terrifying. Luo Ye himself has statistics in the virtual training ground. In the virtual training ground, he was able to hit 30 long-range shots within the goal range when facing opponents. This was the data before incorporating heavy artillery skills. And after integrating the heavy artillery skills, his accuracy can definitely be improved to more than 50%. Long-range shots outside the penalty area have a 50% probability of hitting the goal when fully exerted. This hit rate is already very impressive. Count the power of his shot. The goal rate will naturally be higher than the average player's long-range shots. After all, ball speed is here. Therefore, he shot 3 shots in a row during training, and all 3 shots were of high quality. The football flew straight towards the goal, like a cannonball. Even if the goalkeeper pounced on it, it was too fast to save the goal. That's when the scene just happened on the training ground. Once I got in, I could say that I was blinded. Now Luo Ye has scored 3 shots hit the net 3 times. All long shots. That's why everyone was so surprised. It was like seeing a ghost. Even Hanks opened his mouth in disbelief. But he quickly reacted, although he didn't know why Luo Ye suddenly had the ability to shoot from a distance. But if other teams don't know this, for example, Bayern. Hey,